Hello and welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today is going to be a controversial video. The PC fanboys are probably gonna get a little bit upset about this. So warning, man. So warning. I want to play devil's advocate today. For Starfield, possibly only receiving FSR and being sponsored by AMD. Now, I've read a bunch of your guys' stuff over on Twitter. Everywhere else, I chimed in on Twitter and said that I'm glad that AMD is fighting back, and I'm not changing my stance on that. The fact that I am personally at a crossroads when it comes to PC graphics cards right now, because I get that, and here's the thing. Here's the biggest reason why I personally am like, okay, this is cool. I like to see this tug of war fighting back, because I have personally tried FSR on my NVIDIA graphics card, and I have tried DLSS. Both of these technologies can give you a higher frame rate, and depending on which one you're using, a better looking image. But this is the biggest reason why I am like, yeah, do it, AMD. Take the whole thing. Make it 100% FSR only. I personally am to a point right now where with these graphics cards, especially with the 40 series, the 40 series is the most confusing, most irritating upgrade path that I've ever heard in my life. Not only are they okay, the 4060 just came out, and it's getting reviewed, and it's like cut down specs from what the from what the 3060 was. The 3060 had like, what was it, like 192-bit bus rate just for the memory, and now the 4060 is dropping at 128-bit, less CUDA cores. The 3060 has more CUDA cores, but then all of a sudden they got this magic in there that they're trying to tell me that would never work. Like I've literally had people trying to tell me that my 3080 could not run DLSS 3 frame generation, and I think that's completely false. I think that's completely false. I guarantee this if a 4060 with cut down specs can run DLSS 3, there's no reason on the planet why my 3080 could not get a software update to be able to run a software on my 3080. I don't believe it. I think it is the most and some of the arguments that these fanboys come up with, that try to tell you, no, he's got better, blah blah blah. No, I'm like, no, man, no. I personally seen right through the whole NVIDIA thing with this 40 series, with these 40 series cards. The only one worth buying, like honestly, the only card from NVIDIA worth buying is a 4090. That's it. If you want to guarantee you get all your VRAM, if you want to guarantee that thing's going to keep going longer into the future, the 4090. When you look at the results of a 4090 with a game like Cyberpunk 2077 without DLSS 3, it's marginally better than what you would get with a 3090 or even like any 30 series cards. I just don't feel like I don't feel like I want to pay that much money, that extreme premium price for more software stuff. I get it, man. My biggest complaint with PlayStation 5 this generation was checkerboard rendering in the beginning of the generation. I was like, why are we still getting checkerboard rendering? I thought these consoles were supposed to be strong enough to give us like 4K, native 4K and stuff, because I've always liked native better. And the only thing that's even convinced me that, like, yeah, dude, maybe this is good is DLSS. DLSS looks really, really good. Sometimes looks better than what native resolution looks like. It just has a better look to it. But it's not in every single game. You can't just flip on any game and play that. So I mean, when you're buying these cards, you need to have, and this is the thing that I'm starting to realize, and why I'm like, yeah, go ahead, AMD, do it. Because now I have a reason to actively try an AMD card. That gives me a reason to be like, okay, yeah, let's try it with FSR and without FSR. Not only do I get, a cheaper price for an AMD product, but I also get more VRAM out of the gate. So at the end of the day, after as much as I've invested in NVIDIA and played around with their products, like, I do think NVIDIA are good products, but I do think they're getting a little bit complacent, especially with now trying to, instead of selling us a product that has like that power, they're selling us fake frame rates. They're selling us fake resolution. And if people continue to what's the word for it, defend this, then I don't like, pretty soon we're going to be on GeForce Now. We're going to be on GeForce Now. They're going to be like, well, we don't even need to make cards anymore. Just use our data centers and stuff. And I kind of feel like the more we don't stand up for like native resolution, guys, I feel like we're gonna get lost in the long run. The reason why I'm seriously considering AMD, Starfield is a pretty decent point in that. And a lot of my Ubisoft games, I like Ubisoft games. A lot of them usually have like the Ryzen deals and stuff. Like, I was just playing around with some Assassin's Creed Valhalla today, and that one doesn't have a DLSS thing. And there's a lot of games that I'll buy and I get into, and if it doesn't have like DLSS or anything like that, I have to rely on the power of my GPU to be able to run that game. And thankfully, most games, are getting DLSS or they're getting FSR or something like that. But we're still going to have these games that come out, and I want to have, basically what matters to me more than ray tracing or any of that stuff is rasterized power, being able to have the VRAM necessary to max out all my settings and everything like that. That's kind of my thing in getting into like PC. Like, I like to run everything at max and see how it runs and see if I'm okay with that. Like, I like that. I didn't buy an expensive GPU to run it at medium settings. Like, I didn't do that. I didn't buy a 3080 to run games, last gen games at medium settings. Like, I did not do that. I want to put it on max and see what I can get out of it, and if it's playable. If it's above 30 frames per second, that is playable technically, but I want to be able to push it. I want to be able to see what I can get, and I just kind of feel like NVIDIA could 100% put like AMD and everybody out of business if they would just commit to selling you a product that was like every product. I want every product from NVIDIA to be the best it can be. Like, if you're buying a card for like a lower end, like 1080p or whatever, I think the only real cut downs shouldn't be in like I don't think the cut downs should be as extreme as they do. I feel like they cut these things down just so that they can push out. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, PC gaming is so freaking confusing and so irritating. And it's not just a GPU. You need a good CPU. You need good memory speed. You need this. You need that. You need all kinds of different parts to make up this thing. And I feel like when the graphics cards are coming out and they're not, they're I don't know, man. I feel like they're relying far too much on this fake frame rate stuff. Every time I hear anybody, and it's the same thing if you look at like Fanatec and sim racing and versus anything else, or you look at this or that, it's always this fakeness. It's always this fakeness or this proprietary stuff that these guys are pushing this stuff on. And And I don't know, man. And it marginally gets better every generation. Every 2 years, it gets marginally better. And they're like, oh yeah, it was better this time. I mean, take for instance, ray tracing started on the 20 series cards. The 30 series cards got a little bit better, but it's still not really that super great. But now the 40 series are like, oh, now it's better. I'm like, no, dude, I've tried everything with ray tracing on, and it like the performance might get a little bit better, but that's really it. And now instead of chasing resolution and high frame rates, now you're chasing some other thing that they decided to tack on top to to make you continue to want to buy freaking cards. Like, I'm thankful that ray tracing hasn't got to a point where I must have it. And I can still play games without it and still enjoy them and still be able to get high rasterized visuals and textures and higher frame rates. So yeah, I'm glad. I am glad that AMD is kind of taking a stand, and especially with Starfield, and being like, no, man, we're gonna optimize this for FSR only. I don't necessarily see a big problem with it, man, because anywhere I go, like I rarely ever see anything. Unless it's some weird whack fanboy channel, AMD fanboy channel, there's nothing. All of the main guys that do like Gamers Nexus or Jay's 2 Cents or anybody else, any of them guys, it's always an Nvidia. It's always Nvidia. Nvidia bad, but you know what I mean? And I'm so sick of hearing that, because it's like, dude, like no, man. If you think AMD has a good product, be fair, be even about it. Try to be as informative as you can. Put a system together, run AMD, show me the upgrades. Every time I turn around, there's always, there's more noise about what Nvidia is doing than there is about AMD. So when they have to do something like this to go out and cut other gamers, and take a stand and be like, okay, man, if you bought Nvidia, you're not going to get to play around with this thing. Only the AMD brand is going. That sucks. That really does suck. But there's not enough information out there about AMD. There's not enough marketing. There's not enough people out there that are actively, using AMD products. And most of the people that you would see, the biggest reason I say this is because most of the people that you see always talking about Nvidia are people that are always like, yeah, I wish they would have done this better, the price and this and blah, blah, blah. And it's almost like they just feel defeated. Like, man, they accept it, but then they're like, man, I wouldn't give AMD a try because Nvidia is just better. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, it makes me really want to do that, but I don't want to be a freaking AMD crazy fanboy channel either. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to see AMD, if there is a reason to have AMD, I need to see for myself. And this here just kind of softens the blow, makes it a little bit easier to know that I'll be able to play Starfield with, AMD FSR. It's either that or I got to buy a 40 series card, and I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it's just to a point where I feel like people shouldn't be so dismissive of AMD and start really covering AMD just as much as they cover Nvidia, so that people like me or other people out there that want to get in there and maybe don't care about ray tracing, don't care about it. They don't have to spend that extra $500 or whatever it costs to get a freaking Nvidia card just to run something that they could have 100% enjoyed more on an AMD card, because they didn't have to worry about any of that. Now, from what I'm gathering, the 7900 XT and XTX are both easily beating a 3090 in performance. Like, both easily beating that. So, and with ray tracing on, so I mean, it's like, am I really getting a bad deal if I go with AMD? Yeah, I'm losing out on some stuff. I don't know. I didn't want this to turn into a weird video, but I'm just not as mad about it as other people. I know that there's a lot of, PC guys out there that are far more into this stuff and worried about this stuff, and like, yeah, man, we should have both. It's an open platform. Like, I get that, guys. Like, I get the PC is an open platform, but with all the tribalism and stuff for Nvidia, AMD has to fight back. They have to, man. Or they're not going to be sustainable. You want, like, there's I mean, Nvidia does this stuff too, man. Nvidia does this stuff too. So I don't know why you guys would be upset about this game. Like, I get the fact that you probably want to play this, and you probably want to play it on your 40 series card, and you probably want to use your frame generation so you can get higher frame rate. that just sucks that you got to use frame generation anyways. Like, that, to me, that sucks. That is not a selling point for a 40 series card for me at all. At all. Like, that's not a selling point for me. That is fake frame rate. I'm not going to go spend twice the money for fake frame rate. That's dumb. That's dumb. For me to buy a 4080 for fake frame rate, that's just dumb. With marginally better freaking average FPS, regular FPS, that doesn't make any sense to me, man. That is kind of dumb. Really, it is. So I don't know, man. I'm willing to give AMD a try and run it on the channel for a while. At least a year. you know, run it for about a year and see how I feel about, you know, AMD, or maybe 6 months, whatever. I don't know. Just depends. It just depends. But I'm willing to give it a shot and see how it goes. And yeah, dude, I'm kind of glad to see AMD kind of step up, you know, and fight back a little bit, because from what I'm seeing is those AMD cards are pretty good and pretty, like, they're actually worth maybe checking out. So we'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. Hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you guys later.